Have you ever heard of a country where the internet is tightly controlled, hairstyles are regulated, and every morning begins with a national anthem echoing through the streets? That's North Korea. And behind it all is Kim Jong Un, a figure both feared and, oddly enough, frequently made fun of worldwide.
We are prepared for anything North Korea does. We've thought through how we respond to whatever they do.
The era of strategic patience is over.
Provocations of the sort we saw last night will only further isolate them.
북한이 도발적인 군사 모험주의를 멈추지 않는 한 한반도의 평화는 불가능합니다.
The use of military force will have devastating consequences. I think no one really wants that.
From the nickname Rocketman, coined by Donald Trump, to bizarre tales of cheese obsessions, white horses, and nuclear missiles, Kim Jong Un is truly one of a kind. Yet it's this very uniqueness that has shaken the world to its core. Today, we're diving into the story of this enigmatic leader, from his mysterious childhood and policies that keep the global community on edge, to the lessons history seems desperate to teach us. What lies behind his cryptic smile? And what should the world take away from the story of this rocket man? Get ready for a journey full of surprises. Welcome to Faces of History. Here we uncover fascinating stories from the past and dive into the lives of legendary figures who shaped the course of world history. If you're passionate about history and the incredible journeys of those who made it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. Let's embark on this inspiring journey through time together. The life of Kim Jong Un. 1. Family background: the Kim dynasty and absolute power. Kim Jong Un isn't just any ordinary leader. He was born into a family where power and deification run in the blood. For North Koreans, the Kim family is often seen as a dynasty rather than a government. Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong Un's grandfather, was the founder of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and is revered as the eternal president and father of the nation. His legacy is cemented through thousands of statues, songs, and state propaganda. Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong Un's father, succeeded him and ruled with an aura of mystery and isolationism. Despite the devastating famine of the 1990s, Kim Jong-il maintained an iron grip on power through relentless propaganda. Kim Jong Un, the third-generation leader, inherited this powerful family legacy. From a young age, he was groomed to believe he wasn't an ordinary individual, but a leader of destiny. 2. Growing up, childhood, and education. Beneath the tough image of a leader lies a mysterious upbringing shaped by secrecy. Kim Jong Un spent part of his youth abroad, learning not just math, but perhaps mastering the art of hiding his emotions. Born in 1983 or 1984, his exact birth year remains disputed, Kim Jong Un is the youngest son of Kim Jong-il. Initially overlooked as a successor, he later gained his father's favor for his assertiveness and decisive personality. Between 1996 and 2000, Kim studied at an international school in Bern, Switzerland, under a fake identity. Living in a luxurious villa with private security, he enjoyed a westernized lifestyle. Classmates described him as quiet, obsessed with basketball, particularly Michael Jordan, and fond of action movies and fast food, typical of a Western teenager. However, he reportedly struggled academically, especially with languages, which might explain why he rarely appears in public without thorough preparation. 3. Rising to power, inheriting authority amid chaos. How did a chubby basketball-loving kid rise to become the leader of a nuclear-armed nation? The answer lies in a mix of surprise and strategy. The unexpected successor. When Kim Jong-il died suddenly in 2011, Kim Jong-un was announced as his successor, despite having two older brothers. Kim Jong-nam, lost favor after being caught using a fake passport to visit Disneyland in Japan. Kim Jong-chul, considered too soft for leadership. At just 27 years old, Kim Jong-un faced skepticism from senior officials and military leaders. To solidify his rule, he initiated sweeping purges, including the execution of his uncle Jang Song-taek, sending a clear message: absolute loyalty or death. 4. Personal traits, leadership style, and political strategy. If we had to sum up Kim Jong-un in one phrase, it might be, no one quite like him. His leadership blends classic authoritarianism with a strange modern twist. Kim projects an image of a decisive, youthful leader, unafraid to challenge global powers. He combines ruthlessness with moments of strategic diplomacy, such as summits with Donald Trump and South Korean President Moon Jae-in. Political strategy balances internal propaganda with international threats. His strategy includes developing intercontinental ballistic missiles while delivering impassioned speeches to captivate both domestic and global audiences. Invests in showcase projects like the Masikryong Ski Resort and the city of Samjeon to portray himself as a modern reformer. Kim is known for his extravagant taste, from Patek Philippe watches to Hennessy cognac, contrasting sharply with the hardships faced by his people. Policies and strategies. 1. Domestic policies, consolidating power and controlling society. Kim Jong-un isn't just a leader, he's a master director in the long-running production called North Korea, the happiest country in the world, at least according to its citizens. Upon taking power, Kim Jong-un launched numerous purges, eliminating not only political rivals, but even close allies who posed a potential threat. One notable example is the execution of his uncle, Jang Song-taek, who was deemed too powerful. This event sent a clear message: no one is safe without absolute loyalty. Kim initiated large-scale construction projects like the Samjeon City redevelopment and the Masikryong Ski Resort to project the image of a modern reformer. Despite this, North Korea's economy remains heavily reliant on subsistence agriculture and illicit trade with China. The Byungjin policy, which promotes simultaneous economic and military development, has been an attempt to balance priorities. However, in practice, the majority of national resources continue to be funneled into military development. Powerful propaganda. Following his family's legacy, Kim relies heavily on propaganda to maintain control over society. State media frequently portrays him as the great son of mankind, and mass events and festivals are staged to reinforce loyalty. Access to external information is strictly limited, ensuring citizens are only exposed to government-approved content. 2. Foreign policy, pressure, and unconventional diplomacy. Kim Jong-un isn't just the leader of North Korea, he's a PR master, turning the country's isolation into a peculiar form of global intrigue. Relations with South Korea. In his early years, Kim attempted a thaw in relations, symbolized by North Korea's participation in the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics alongside South Korea. Despite these gestures, tensions frequently spike due to missile tests and hostile rhetoric aimed at Seoul. Relations with the U.S. Kim gained global attention through historic summits with U.S. President Donald Trump in 2018 and 2019, the first ever meetings between a sitting U.S. president and a North Korean leader. While these nuclear negotiations brought no concrete results, they elevated Kim's international profile and North Korea's strategic significance. Relations with China. As North Korea's largest economic partner and key ally, China plays a crucial role in keeping the regime afloat. While their relationship isn't always smooth, Beijing maintains its support to prevent North Korea's collapse, which could destabilize the region. Missile diplomacy. Kim uses missile tests to attract international attention and leverage concessions in negotiations. Each spike in tension is often followed by demands for economic relief to de-escalate the situation. 3. Military strategy, nuclear weapons as Kim Jong-un's trump card. In North Korea, the ultimate American dream isn't a big house or a luxury car. It's a nuclear arsenal that makes the world hold its breath. Nuclear advancements. Kim has aggressively advanced North Korea's nuclear program, transforming it from a fledgling effort into a credible threat. The 2016 and 2017 nuclear tests, along with successful ICBM launches, demonstrated North Korea's capability to strike the U.S. mainland. Defense doctrine. Nuclear weapons are viewed as the regime's ultimate insurance policy, deterring any external attempts to overthrow the government. Regional tensions. Neighboring countries like South Korea and Japan are on constant high alert due to North Korea's missile tests. The U.S. maintains a significant military presence in the region, escalating security tensions across East Asia. 4. Impact and consequences. The fallout of Kim Jong Un's policies. Every move Kim Jong Un makes sends shockwaves far beyond North Korea's borders, but the people most affected remain his own citizens. National resources are overwhelmingly allocated to the military and prestige projects, leaving the majority of citizens in poverty and facing chronic food shortages. Strict social controls ensure that dissent is virtually non-existent, and access to unfiltered information is tightly restricted. Impact on the region. A nuclear-armed North Korea perpetuates instability in East Asia, forcing neighboring countries like South Korea and Japan to increase defense spending and prepare for potential conflict. Impact on the world. Kim Jong Un has demonstrated how a small, isolated nation can wield outsized influence through nuclear brinkmanship. However, this sets a dangerous precedent, potentially encouraging other authoritarian regimes to pursue nuclear weapons as a means of securing power. Kim Jong Un's policies reflect a potent mix of absolute authority, sophisticated control mechanisms, and bold international strategies. While his leadership has undeniably reshaped East Asia's geopolitical dynamics and challenged the global order, it raises pressing questions. Can North Korea sustain its precarious position indefinitely? Or will Kim's strategies eventually backfire, plunging the nation into even deeper uncertainty? The answers, like Kim Jong Un himself, remain shrouded in mystery. Global influence. 1. Geopolitical influence. Kim Jong Un and the East Asian landscape. In the political chessboard of East Asia, Kim Jong Un is not just a pawn. At times, he plays the role of a player. Despite North Korea's small size, Kim's impact on the region and the world is far from insignificant. Relations with the U.S. The dynamic between North Korea and the United States oscillates between threats and dialogue. Kim's missile and nuclear tests have consistently kept Washington on edge, forcing the U.S. to maintain a strong military presence in East Asia. The summits with Donald Trump, 2018-2019, redefined political dynamics, even though they yielded no concrete agreements on denuclearization. Kim succeeded in transforming North Korea from a rogue state into a reluctant but unavoidable partner in global diplomacy. Relations with China. China, North Korea's largest ally and economic lifeline, ensures the regime's survival to avoid destabilization along its border. However, the relationship is not without friction. Kim occasionally asserts North Korea's independence, signaling that Pyongyang is not merely China's backyard. Relations with South Korea. Kim plays a pivotal role in inter-Korean relations, alternating between gestures of peace, such as North Korea's participation in the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, and aggressive actions like destroying the Joint Liaison Office in 2020. This duality highlights his ability to use diplomacy to build his image while leveraging tensions for strategic gain. Relations with Russia. Russia has emerged as a strategic partner for North Korea in both military and diplomatic matters. Recently, Kim has strengthened ties with Moscow, capitalizing on the rift between Russia and the West. 2. Global economic impact. An unconventional player. North Korea may not rank among economic powerhouses, but Kim Jong Un's policies have created ripples affecting regional and global economies. International sanctions. North Korea is among the most heavily sanctioned nations in the world. UN and US sanctions aim to cut funding for its nuclear program, crippling the economy. Nevertheless, Kim has demonstrated resourcefulness, evading sanctions through black market trade, smuggling, and even selling nuclear technology to other nations. Shadow trade. North Korea engages in illegal transactions, including the export of coal, arms, and even drugs. These operations provide crucial foreign currency to sustain Kim's regime. Regional economic effects. North Korea's actions compel neighbors like South Korea and Japan to increase military spending, indirectly altering the economic landscape of East Asia. 3. A global symbol, from Rocketman to a recognized leader. The global media can turn anyone into a symbol, and Kim Jong Un has harnessed this power to ensure the world's attention remains fixed on him. Donald Trump famously referred to Kim as Rocketman during a 2017 UN address, a moniker that has since become synonymous with Kim's pressure-based diplomacy. His frequent missile tests serve as tools to capture global attention, positioning Kim as a political figure that cannot be ignored. Historic summits. Kim's 2018 summit with Donald Trump in Singapore is often seen as one of the most effective PR stunts in modern politics. The image of the two leaders shaking hands symbolized a fleeting hope for peace. These summits elevated Kim's international standing, showcasing him not just as the leader of a small nation, but as a formidable player on the global stage. Kim utilizes media to bolster his domestic authority while sending a message to the world that North Korea is a sovereign nation, unwilling to bow to external pressures. 4. Global consequences, risks, and lessons. But with all the power and image building Kim Jong Un has achieved, what happens when his policies ripple beyond North Korea's borders? Impact of the nuclear program. North Korea's nuclear ambitions have reshaped the balance of power in East Asia. Countries in the region have been forced to spend billions on defense, escalating military tensions. The persistent risk of nuclear conflict, however small, keeps global peace on edge. Military tensions. North Korea's missile tests provoke increased U.S. and allied military activity in the region, creating a cycle of escalating tensions. Joint U.S.-South Korea military drills draw harsh criticism from Pyongyang, often met with threats of retaliation. Lessons from history. Kim's rule highlights how isolation can be turned into a source of strength. However, this isolation also increases the risk of internal instability and international conflict. Kim Jong Un is a vivid example of how power doesn't necessarily come from size or wealth. Through boldness, calculated strategies, and sometimes sheer audacity, he has positioned North Korea as an actor that cannot be ignored on the global stage. Yet this raises a crucial question. How will the world deal with a leader like Kim Jong Un in the future? The answer may well shape the course of international politics in the years to come. Achievements under Kim Jong Un. 1. Domestic achievements, maintaining power and improving infrastructure. If there's one thing Kim Jong Un excels at, it's keeping his regime not only alive but remarkably stable in a volatile world. Despite severe limitations, he has left his mark in key areas. Economic reforms within limits. While no sweeping changes have been made, Kim has introduced modest economic reforms. The development of local markets, Jangmadang, has allowed small-scale trade, offering a slight boost to an otherwise tightly controlled economy. Special economic zones, such as Rason, were open to limited foreign investment, though these efforts have been hindered by sanctions. Modernizing infrastructure. Kim has invested heavily in large-scale projects to showcase himself as a modern leader, including Samjian City, marketed as a model city for the nation. The Masikryong Ski Resort, a luxurious project that contrasts sharply with the country's widespread poverty. Renovations in Pyongyang, featuring high-rise buildings and modernized transportation systems, primarily for the elite class. However, these projects are often criticized as symbolic rather than practical, given the majority of citizens continue to live in poverty. Despite international pressure and domestic challenges, Kim has maintained remarkable political stability. Aggressive purges, strict information control, and effective propaganda have helped him secure his grip on power, albeit at the cost of repression and limited freedoms for the population. 2. Military achievements. Emerging as a nuclear giant. When it comes to Kim Jong Un, missiles, nuclear weapons, and tension-filled tests are unavoidable topics. Despite sanctions, he has transformed North Korea into a military power that cannot be ignored. Nuclear program. Kim has significantly advanced the country's nuclear program, highlighted by major tests in 2016 and 2017. North Korea's successful hydrogen bomb tests demonstrated its capability to produce weapons with devastating power, solidifying its nuclear status. Ballistic missiles. The development of intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, such as the Hwasong-15, showcased North Korea's ability to strike the U.S. mainland, making it a global nuclear power. Military strategy. Kim views nuclear weapons as insurance for his regime's survival. He uses military strength not just for national defense, but as leverage in international negotiations. 3. Diplomatic achievements, historic engagements. In diplomacy, Kim Jong Un has achieved what few expected, moving from complete isolation to becoming a key player on the global stage. Summits with the U.S. In 2018, Kim met Donald Trump in Singapore, marking the first ever direct talks between a sitting U.S. president and a North Korean leader. While the results were limited, the event was a groundbreaking diplomatic milestone. A second summit in Hanoi in 2019 highlighted Kim's negotiation tactics, though it ended without an agreement. Easing tensions with South Korea, Kim's 2018 meeting with South Korean President Moon Jae-in in the Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, produced iconic moments, such as the two leaders holding hands. These events temporarily eased tensions on the Korean peninsula. Relations with other nations. Kim has strengthened ties with Russia and China, leveraging these relationships to break through international isolation and maintain economic and military support. 4. Cultural and social achievements. Building absolute loyalty. To maintain power in an isolated country, Kim Jong Un has done something unmatched, transforming himself into a national symbol. Propagating the leader's image. Kim is portrayed as a near-divine figure, following the tradition of his family. His image dominates North Korea through statues, songs, and documentaries. His rare public speeches are treated as guiding lights for the nation. Promoting patriotism. Under Kim's rule, extreme patriotism is encouraged, fostering absolute loyalty to the leader and the ruling party. Grand events. Massive military parades and cultural performances are frequently held to showcase strength and unity among citizens. 5. Reflection and evaluation. Genuine success or a power game? Behind the numbers and listed accomplishments, are Kim Jong Un's achievements truly enduring, or are they merely a facade masking a fragile system? Strengths. Kim has successfully stabilized his regime, maintained power, and raised North Korea's profile on the global stage. His military and diplomatic maneuvers demonstrate strategic boldness and a keen sense of timing. Weaknesses. Many achievements are more symbolic than substantive. Modern infrastructure primarily benefits the elite, while the majority of citizens live in poverty. Military policies and sanctions have stalled economic growth, placing immense strain on the population. Kim Jong Un's accomplishments reflect his decisiveness and strategic thinking, but also raise questions about the costs borne by the North Korean people. Are these true successes or merely tools for consolidating power in a regime built on propaganda and control? The world remains curious and divided on how to interpret his legacy. Positive and negative perspectives on Kim Jong Un. 1. Positive perspective. Remarkable qualities and achievements. While Kim Jong Un is undoubtedly a controversial figure, it's hard to ignore his notable qualities and accomplishments, especially within the context of a nation as challenging as North Korea. Decisiveness and leadership skills. Kim Jong Un assumed power at just 27 years old, an age when most people are still figuring out their careers. Yet he not only inherited an authoritarian regime, but managed to stabilize and maintain his rule, an impressive feat by any measure. His ability to consolidate power through strategic purges and political control, while contentious, reflects a leader with a clear vision for securing his position. Domestic policies. Despite international sanctions, Kim has implemented modest economic reforms, such as supporting local markets, Jangmadang, and developing symbolic infrastructure projects like Samjian City and Pyongyang's high-rise buildings. He has maintained political stability in the face of immense economic and international pressures. Diplomatic achievements. Kim Jong Un brought North Korea to the global stage through historic summits with Donald Trump and Moon Jae-in. These meetings demonstrated his ability to leverage personal image to enhance national standing. National sovereignty. By advancing the nuclear program, Kim has positioned North Korea as a nation that cannot be ignored. While seen as a threat, the program has safeguarded the country's sovereignty from direct intervention by major powers. 2. Negative perspective. The dark sides of Kim Jong Un's rule. However, behind these achievements lie a series of actions and policies that have drawn widespread criticism, both domestically and internationally. Human rights violations. Kim's regime is infamous for its oppressive control. Political prison camps where detainees endure forced labor under brutal conditions are a glaring example of systemic abuses. Freedom of speech and access to information are strictly limited, with dissenters facing severe punishment. Political repression. Kim has employed ruthless purges to eliminate perceived threats, including the infamous execution of his uncle, Jang Song-taek, in 2013. High-ranking officials are regularly replaced or punished for alleged disloyalty. Nuclear program's impact. While the nuclear program strengthens national security, it has exacerbated North Korea's economic isolation. Resources are heavily allocated to military development, leaving much of the population in poverty and raising questions about the regime's priorities. Use of power to maintain dominance. Kim has built a powerful propaganda system, portraying himself as a near-divine figure. This has stifled dissent and suppressed individual freedoms, creating a climate of fear and control. 3. Analysis. Strategic leader or modern despot. Is Kim Jong Un a brilliant strategist or merely a modern-day autocrat? The answer depends on one's perspective. International viewpoint. Western nations and human rights organizations often criticize Kim for his human rights abuses and destabilizing nuclear ambitions, viewing him as a threat to global peace. However, from a strategic perspective, Kim has successfully leveraged military and diplomatic power to ensure his regime's survival and maintain global relevance. To North Koreans, Kim is depicted as a wise leader, thanks to the regime's powerful propaganda machinery. Beneath the surface, dissatisfaction may be simmering, particularly as the population sees little improvement in living standards compared to the regime's promises. Kim Jong Un is undoubtedly a leader with remarkable strategic acumen, but his reliance on oppression and control raises questions about the true sustainability and value of his achievements. Ultimately, the question isn't just who Kim Jong Un is, but what we can learn from his story. A balanced view of leadership. Every leader has both strengths and weaknesses, and Kim Jong Un is no exception. Judging him solely through a positive or negative lens leads to an incomplete understanding. Lessons from history. Kim's story underscores the power of absolute authority, its potential, and its dangers. It's a reminder of the importance of balancing power with accountability. Global peace and stability. North Korea under Kim Jong Un highlights that global peace cannot be achieved solely through pressure or isolation. Dialogue and mutual understanding are essential. Kim Jong Un, a complex figure, both the Rocketman of media headlines and the determined leader of an isolated nation. Is he a strategic mastermind or a symbol of tyranny? The answer lies in how we view and learn from his story. Kim Jong Un remains a figure who fascinates and frightens the world. From domestic achievements and bold military strategies to the controversies that define his rule, he has ensured that North Korea is more than just a small dot on the map. It's a name the world cannot ignore. Whether you admire, despise, or are simply intrigued by him, Kim Jong Un's story offers valuable lessons about power, leadership, and the consequences they bring to a nation and the world. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found this content insightful and engaging, please hit like, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking videos. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now, we'd love to hear from you. What's your take on Kim Jong Un? Is he a strategic leader or a symbol of authoritarianism? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. See you in the next video. Take care and have an amazing day.